Hey guys, Thomas Sicily Jr. here, aka Mustached, and I'm here to review the movie Charlie's Angels. I believe this is a reboot of a reboot at this point. I do remember watching the series, I think it was the series with Lucy Liu, or was that a movie? It's been a while since I can recall Charlie's Angels, so I'm not sure if it was one or both or whatever. Anyways, this movie starts off with the one on the right, played by Kristen Stewart, her character interacting with this guy, and she's talking about how women can do certain things and men can't do certain things. Landed on pretty thick at the beginning of the movie in terms of feminine power, I guess. Not too surprised that they go for that. Less surprising of like how direct it is, I suppose. Nonetheless, she's like trying to gather intel, and he was like talking about her beauty and how she would be more of an asset to be like, I don't know, like a model or something, and she's like a spy. She reveals that she's able to speak, I believe the language they used was Portuguese. Mentions how it takes 7 more seconds for men to perceive women as a threat. She says that to him. Which, whatever. If they're going to do that. One of the things that I was taught, and it has nothing to do with this, I just find it interesting, is that people in general, not, it doesn't quantify men or women, it is the indication that it takes 10 seconds, relatively speaking, for you as an individual, when you see someone else, to pass judgment on that person. That takes within 10 seconds. If they're wearing, for example, if they're wearing a business suit, within 10 seconds, in your mind, you will think, oh, that person's a businessman or a businesswoman. That takes 10 seconds for people to do. Fun fact. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how relatively these things are true. How close that is, like how that was tested or whatever, but that's what I was taught anyway. So the other two are come in, or one of them comes in. The one in the middle comes in to help out and assist, and we see that Patrick Stewart is featured in this movie as one of the Bosleys, one of the many. They leave via helicopter, and we cut to Naomi Scott's character. I believe her name was Alina or Molina. I think it was Alina. I heard it the first time, and I thought I heard Molina. That's what I kept writing, but then later on in the movie, I swear her name was Alina. So I do apologize if I misheard her name throughout the most of the movie, I guess. Anyway, she has this meeting with this guy who is all about this power source. He's saying this power source is the way of the future, and she's saying that it has the potential to be dangerous, and he kind of like brushes it off anyway. So she's given this like little card thing or whatever. We cut to then Charles Bosley, I guess I'll just call him that, who's getting ready to retire. He's called in, the little Bosley team celebrates. And we cut to, I believe his name was Alex. I want to say that's his name. Anyway, he's like talking about the power thing anyway. Meanwhile, we learn the MacGuffin is called, or I think the the business item was called Callisto. And it's able to turn on the building, like, through its power. Anyway, we cut to the gym. We see the woman in the middle. Her name is Jane. And Kristen Stewart plays Sabina. Who's meeting up with one of the other Bosleys for a new job. So they go to Alina, or Molina. Again, I'm just going to call her Alina. I guess that's her name. Who wants to meet with one of the Bosleys to expose that she has some potential information about how her thing could be a potential weapon. But the spy was sent after her, so that guy gets into a fight with them. And the two attack each other. This leads to a car chase, where Sabina is also trying to catch up from behind. They give chase, and Bosley's one, like, guiding, this female Bosley's, like, guiding them, through the vehicle. Jane's able to, shoot out, and one of the other Bosleys is shot. Not the female Bosley, but this other Bosley. Don't worry about it. Anyways, Jane ends up in the water, and Sabina, like, arrives after the fact. And one of the guys gets to, like, leave. So the three of them with female Bosley recover in the woods. And she kind of comes in, and Elena wonders why she's being attacked, and they kind of talk about the thing that she came to them for, the Callisto item, the MacGuffin. She talks more about how it can be weaponized. So they move in. One of the inspector guys flirts, like, with one of them. The other two go around stealing access cards to get into the building that they're going to get into. Alina's boss, Peter's, like, they're gathering intel on him. And one of them gets caught on camera, assumably Alina, I think. They all have the, this cut of hair in the costume that make them look like they're the same woman. From the camera angles, anyway. So Sabina goes monkey to distract the guards via the camera tricks. And Jane flirts with this lab guy who, like, helps her out for whatever reason. I don't know. She's just like, okay, whatever. The guards are, like, getting scuffled about because the locations keep changing because there's three of them. So Jane runs off. And Elena calls in and sees one of the guards. I wrote a random Susan lady gets arrested. The three of them looked like her, so she ends up getting arrested instead of them. So they get locked in. So Elena and Jane are, like, in the building still with Callisto, and she sets it to, like, the short bomb fuse or whatever. Knocks the guy out in the process. And we see the bad leader Peter talking on the phone and freaks out. So the angels ride around and they go to their base and they meet this guy named Saint, who's their, like, mentor guru guy, I guess. Trains their mind and body, as they put it. So Elena's boss, she figures, like, oh, he was the one trying to have me killed or whatever. And they learn that he's going to Istanbul. So, female Bosley does this this car trade, like, gets another vehicle for them to move. And we cut back to Charles, who's like working at this clock shop, and we see that he thinks he's being like set up, and he goes like talking about like how it's never really truly over or whatever. Anyway, so Alina gets shown the tech, given the Banglet transmitter thing that allows her to communicate. So the four of them start to move. So Jane starts to talk about how she was like an FBI agent. And I believe Sabina also talks a bit about herself at this point to Alina. They get to the hotel, and Sabina, as I mentioned, talks about her like abuse or whatever. She starts to talk about it, but then she was like, "Oh, it's not really that." It was a little bit confusing. Some of the writing there was a little bit confusing. It was like, okay, so what is she then? Is she this or is she that? Like, she backs up and then changes it. I don't know. I don't know what they were going for with her character in that moment. Anyway, so they miss with the evil Fleming boss, Peter Fleming, his phone. Alina wants to get in on this Charlie's Angels thing, so she's already in, or like they'll let her in. So she tells them that she can hack, and they use that to their advantage. She starts to do her hacking bit, and Jane does above control, and Sabina does ground control in this little horse betting race where Peter's in. Female Bosley takes the vehicles for escape purposes. So, they move in, they miss their target. Sabina gives chase, they change the vehicles to continue to follow track. Jane's like moving in. They eventually track down and take down two more guys. Alina is like hacking her way in. We learn that one of the buyers is the guy from the very beginning, and Peter is shot dead by that guy, or one of his guards. They move in on like Jane and Sabina, who are like starting to take down others. Then Alina is attacked from behind. Sabina, all the meanwhile, gets in a fight as well. And Alina is continuing hers. She mentions how she knows martial arts. So she's able to fend herself off well enough. Jane heads out, and she's like chasing the briefcase guy. So each one is like doing their own little bit here. So Alina is able to like knock out the guy, I guess, for like a way too much time. She's like hacking, knocks out the guy. I'm gonna put that in quotes because I don't think he would have been knocked out that long. Had enough time to save Sabina from being crushed by this rock cruncher, I guess I'll call it. Jane helps out Sabina. She's like able to come back and help. Alina sees the guy who's like now all of a sudden awake and like ends up shrinking herself, and then the other two take him out. So the three of them travel on boat after the fact, after also hearing that the female Bosley's suddenly gone. So Sabina kind of figures that the female Bosley is like in on this deal. The building that they're in blows up. They all survive, obviously. Charles takes down temporarily the female Bosley, and Jane takes Sabina outside. All the while, the female Bosley and Saint arrive on the scene where they are. They get to like this secret hospital place. Um, and we cut to Alina talking with Charles, and he lets in this assassin guy, and she's like, "Oh no!" And we cut to the party going down. So we now know that Charles Bosley is the true bad guy. At this point of the movie, they make plenty of movie references to like the generation gap between like Batman or whatever. So anyways, Charles Bosley wants to change the device, and yeah, for reasons. So anyways, Jade and Sabina, get to the party. They start to dance, which, that, by the way, I saw a little, I think it was like a comparison video of like the original Charlie's Angels dancing, or it was either the original or the one with the other remake with Lucy Liu. This is like the only of the three Charlie's Angels I remember, mostly. So anyways, they start to dance. It's like this whole scene where they're dancing. They move in after the fact. They know, they like take out some guards. It's a little odd how like I wrote it's a little off how Jade like gets behind, or Jane, not Jade, Jane gets behind one of them, but whatever. Anyway, Brock, one of the guys, is like sidestepped and then knocked out too. So Charles has his little, his hostage, and the assassin gets attacked by Jane. Sabina joins in the fight, and the two of them help each other out. Get the key and run. Jane fights on with the assassin while Alina tries to get herself out of this room with this guy that she was with. And she was told to like set up the bomb, so she pressed the beep boops on the button. So the assassin is killed via ice shatter, or ice through the chest. In the process, Sabina ends up saving Alina. And according to her, she made it so that it was actually never going to blow up. It was just shiny lights. So her earlier freak out when she was alone with that guy was kind of unnecessary, I guess. Okay. So anyways, Sabina goes to get Charles Bosley, and Sabina says this code word, and all of a sudden, I don't think it was Sabina, I think it was female Bosley, says like this code word, and then all the party members like get knocked out, and we see so many different angels. Oh, they're all, Charlie's Angels, etc., etc. And we hear that the code name is changed by the main angel, and then we see in the credits how Alina gets like inaugurated into the system of Charlie's Angels via training, and that was Charlie's Angels. And by the way, Charles Bosley's reason for being evil was because retirement. It's like, oh, okay. I thought it was a decent movie. There are definitely issues here. The evil the evil characters, like the retirement equals evil now, I guess. It's like, okay. There are other moments like that as well, or it's just like, okay. And there are also pretty good moments as well. And this is definitely a weird movie to reboot. It's definitely a weird movie to reboot if they were trying to do the whole female empowerment thing with this. Um, if I recall correctly, Charlie's Angels, yeah, they kicked butt, sure. I get that. Um, they weren't afraid to use their seductive nature to gain the upper hand. That's also a thing that they did. Um, yeah, there's not a lot else I can remember from that series. So, in comparison to what it was, to what it became, it's a little hard for me to, like, pin down exactly. Um, it does feel a little bit odd, in terms of, like, oh, Alina's gonna get in after the fact. I thought the whole movie was supposed to be about her. That mission was her trial, but I guess they just did a like after thing or whatever. A little bit weird in terms of that, of like how they placed certain elements in the movie in certain locations. Um, so I think with a little bit of reworking of where certain elements are, in terms of Alina getting in, I think that would have helped the movie structure in terms of what it was trying to do. Um, Better motives, obviously, for the villain, I think is definitely warranted. Um, Again, retirement? Really? That's gonna make you go evil or whatever. It doesn't really. That through line does not make sense. Pure and simple. Um, they try to like play it off as like, oh, it's a female Bosley. No, 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 it has to be a guy. So it's got to be Charles Bosley instead. And his reason it doesn't make sense. I have no trouble with it being like Charles is the bad guy. Fine, if you want to do that, then fine. Just give him a better reason for turning evil. Retirement? That is just... That through line, again, makes no sense. The action is decent. Again, a little bit of mismatch in order in terms of progression. Even like the characters talking about who they were, I felt like that could have happened immediately after picking up Alina, and it happened like a little bit after. Like there was like that whole gap. So yeah, definitely the order of like the events of the film could have definitely been altered around. I would give the movie like a 5 or a 6, I guess, out of 10. It could have used a little bit of reworking in terms of, again, just where everything was, motives, building up on that, and I think you could have had a decent movie. If you want to do the whole female empowerment thing, fine, that's whatever. As long as your characters are good, which they're decent enough, I want to say, except for Kristen Stewart's character, her motives, her backstory got a little bit weird when she was talking about like, oh, I'm this, this, and this, and then the other character's like, no, and then she's like, okay, I'm this, and I'm like, okay, so which is it then? Are you the first thing or are you the second thing? I don't know. Anyway, that's my review for Charlie's Angels, and if you enjoyed it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. We'll head over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.